When Clive and Nathan and Harold first mentioned this to me, I thought, what a bloody brilliant idea. Get all these people in on one day. And my immediate reaction was, can we do it? Can we actually organise to get all these people in one day? And we have, and I'm really pleased about that. So I'm ready to take the first question, please, and then I will try to direct it to the relevant person. But I think in some cases, more than one person will probably want to answer the question. So can I take the first question, please? It's always very difficult to get that first question out of the way, so can we take the first question, please? Thank you, thank you. Well done. If you can just pass the mic along, please.
I was just wondering, because we've had a lot of confusion for our CVs. What makes a CV stand out in the creative industry?
Showing uniqueness, showing you. I said this before to people. Brand yourself. Make yourself a brand. Use yourself as a brief and create a campaign around you and use your CV as part of that. It puts something, I mean, a CV in itself is just a bit of information, a guide for whoever's going to be looking at it, a bit of background to you. It's not actually sort of you. You know, there's a lot more to you than a piece of paper with some words on it. But making it stand out is definitely giving it some uniqueness, which is you. So if you can portray yourself in that CV, and it could be creatively, it could be by your experience. There are any number of ways that it can be done, but ultimately it has to be very much you on that piece of paper and not just a copy of something you found on the internet.
I think the other thing to bear in mind with this, if you're sitting at a desk with 2,000 applications on that desk and you have 2,000 CVs to look at, if they're overly complicated, the chances are you're going to get pushed onto the wrong pile. The message is, keep it simple. Just get the important fact there. The typography, for example, needs to be superb.
As does the spelling.
As does the spelling.
And grammar.
And the grammar.
Yeah.
And if you put a second-class stamp on it, I know some people, when it goes straight in the bin, they don't even open it. First class, good typography, well presented, are the important things. Keep it simple. Anybody add to that?
Good paper as well.
Good paper.
You know, good stationery, yeah. If you're not creating your own.
It's you on a piece of paper. That's what you need to think about.
Yeah, no, I think that's so true. But I also think as well, be really honest, because loads of people not lie, but they kind of they use templates like, you know, I'd say my weakness is I work too hard, and all these terrible things that everyone reads. We all know it happens on CVs, and you just sit there and you think, oh god, it's boring. And if you're going to go into the creative industry, then you know you've got free reign to be sort of exciting and do what you want. I mean, I used to just put in datum columns. I used to put just my CV in datum columns and then just post the datum column to people I wanted to talk to. And if they saw it, great, that meant I was doing something great. You know, if they didn't read it and they didn't notice it in all the datum sort of list, then that's fine. I wasn't doing good enough work. So it's just a way of sort of trying to sum up and stand out, but also be really honest. And like those datum columns, you can see identikit, you know, curvaceous, bubbly. But if you saw a fat lass looking for a good time, you'd probably, oh, what's that? It's really interesting. So I think being as honest as you can about yourself in a really exciting way.
In other words, don't do what the guy did that won The Apprentice last year, who lied on his CV, who couldn't spell on his CV, and actually was a bit of a bumbling idiot, but got the job nevertheless. So I don't think The Apprentice is probably a good recommendation. So quite simply, stay with what these guys are saying. Anybody else? Move on. Next section.
Just said that.
Yep.
Also, you know, with CVs, if you're going into the creative industries, as they say, you've got to be creative. If you're not going into the creative industries, and somebody won't, then you've got to be very straight and formal. So it isn't about this is the way to do a CV. You've got to use your intelligence about who your audience is, you know, and find out what they're going to require from you.
You know, it comes back to the very basics. Who are you talking to, and what are you trying to say? That's it. So, second question then, please. Yes, thank you. Can we have the microphone in the centre, please? Thank you.
What would you say the most important things are for a successful creative career?
Have we got 3 weeks?
Yeah, seriously.
Good manners.
Yeah. Honesty. That's not true.
Convincing lying.
That's better.
It's just all about how you market it.
I think I said earlier on, perseverance really. If you get in those knockbacks, don't worry, just keep at it.
think it's interesting, like the idea of a creative career. Like I think people are just creative in everything. Like some people, you are born creative. You want to be creative in everything you do, and if you are that kind of person, then the career just kind of falls into place because you're constantly creating. Even if you were in a really boring sort of job, you'll still have a creative career outside of that job. It's just reminding yourself that you can do that. You can be creative in everything you do. And I think if you have that mindset, no matter where you are and you're constantly creating, the career will just fall into place for you.
If I can just add to that, I can just tell you a little story about a student of mine who went for an interview in London for a scholarship scheme. They interviewed him on the floor. So he's down here on his hands and knees with his portfolio trying to talk to this guy on the desk. He came back from the interview absolutely demoralised, destroyed. He started the interview on the floor, there's people coming in, they're on the phone. 2 weeks later he won the scholarship. So you can't take that as a sort of norm, you've just got to keep on pushing forward all the time. There's only one way, there's only, you are the most important person. You have got to keep moving forward all the time. Okay, Clive and I and David and Bal are on the end of the phone, we're there, give us a bell, let's talk it through, which we do a lot with the third year people, so just keep moving forward. Anyway.
I think also, just on that, be honest with yourself as well, in the sense of knowing when, not to give up on something, but knowing when to move on from something. So if something isn't working, know, right, I've tried that, I've tested that, let's think of another idea. Again, like Dan was saying, use your creativity. If you are a creative person, you'll think of other ideas, you'll think of other options. And as John was saying, use the people around you to bounce ideas off, where to go, what to do, other things to think about.
Yeah, I think never be afraid to ask for advice. So I still do that now. I still talk to John and Clive if ever I have a question. I also talk to Dan as well. I'll just phone around and ask people, I'm in this situation, what should I do? Please give me some sort of indication if I'm mad. And that's, I think, like it's always useful to, if you do get your contacts and do with your peers, constantly ask questions about what they're up to and how they feel, and it kind of helps your career in that sense that you can kind of give yourself a little goalpost and think, I know actually I've spoken to people and I'm happy with my creativity and I'm confident now because people are there and they've got my back. So I think that's again another great thing, is just ask for advice if you need it.
And on that point as well, going back to being honest with yourself, it's also realistic. So setting the goalpost is a great example. So set yourself a goal that is within reach, and then as you're approaching that, set yourself another goal that again is within reach. There's no point if you're at A to jump all the way to Z. It's not going to happen that way. You've got to go through all the other steps. So if the steps are small, set yourself small steps. If that's how you work. If you can take larger steps, if you've got that in you to take larger steps, then try that. And if that doesn't work again, go back to the smaller steps. But again, just do it honestly with yourself and realistically.
Don't run away with the idea. It's only you lot that have got the problem. I had a personal problem about 12 months ago, which I won't discuss with you. And but what I did, I went straight to NABS. Now, who hasn't heard of NABS? You've all heard of NABS. Yeah. Who hasn't heard of NABS?
What is NABS?
Okay, you need to find out NABS. NABS is an advisory body set up in London for anybody from students right the way through to creative directors. And I wanted to put together a new CV. And so I asked them what I should do, for somebody at my point in my career, how should I do it? And they were extremely helpful. And if you want to go in and see them, you can arrange an appointment, you can go in and see one of their consultants, they'll sit down, they're totally independent, and they give you some really, really good advice, so look up NABS.